In her mazes of approach and of retreat, to every side she draws him and repels, but drawn too near, escapes from his embrace. All ways she leads him, but no way is sure. Allured by the many-toned marvel of her chant, attracted by the witchcraft of her moods, and moved by her casual touch to joy and grief, he loses himself in her, but wins her not. A fugitive paradise smiles at him from her eyes. He dreams of her beauty made forever his. He dreams of his mastery her limbs shall bear. He dreams of the magic of her breasts of bliss. In her illumined script, her fanciful translation of God's pure original text, he thinks to read the scripture wonderful, hieratic key to unknown beatitudes. But the word of life is hidden in its script. The chant of life has lost its divine note. Unseen, a captive in a house of sound, the spirit lost in the splendor of a dream listens to 1,000-voiced illusions old. A delicate weft of sorcery steals the heart, or a fiery magic tints her tones and hues. Yet they but wake a thrill of transient grace. A vagrant march struck by the wanderer time, they call to a brief, unsatisfied delight, or wallow in ravishments of mind and sense, but miss the luminous answer of the soul. A blind heart throb that reaches joy through tears, a yearning towards peaks forever unreached, an ecstasy of unfulfilled desire, track the last heavenward climbings of her voice. Transmuted are past sufferings' memories into an old sadness's sweet escaping trail. Turned are her tears to gems of diamond pain, her sorrow into a magic crown of song. Brief are her snatches of felicity that touch the surface, then escape or die. A lost remembrance echoes in her depths. A deathless longing is hers, a veiled self's call. A prisoner in the mortal's limiting world, a spirit wounded by life sobs in her breast. A cherished suffering is her deepest cry. You will start, Kamala?
In her masses of approach and of retreat, to every side she draws him and repels, but drawn too near, escapes from his embrace, and always she leads him, but no way is sure.
It's as if she's playing with him, no? Playing with the spirit. Mazes. You know these mazes, they are kind of gardens where you're supposed to get lost. The hedges are made in such a way that you can turn left and right and lose yourself completely and not know how to find the way back. A labyrinth. So she creates places like that for him. Mazes where she draws near to him and where she gets further away from him. And she's always attracting him. The spirit is attracted by the play of life. To every side she draws him, and then she pushes him away, repels him. And if she's drawn too near, she escapes from his embrace. She just runs away. Always she leads him, but no way is sure. It's a kind of game. Like Sri Aurobindo says, God and nature are like a boy and a girl at play and in love, and they run away to be chased, and they like to be caught. So this idea of the maze in European big country houses or palaces, in the gardens, there will always be a maze, a place where people can get lost in. Suresh, would you like to read?
I look by the meaning from marble of her tongue. I catch by the cup of her moons, and move by her casual touch to joy and grief. He lose himself in her but dreams her not. Her fugitive paradise smiles at him from her eyes. He dreams of her beauty made forever his. He dreams of his monastery that her limbs should wear. He dreams of the magic of her breasts of bliss.
Yes. So he's attracted by the sound of her voice, the many-toned marvel of her chant. She's singing a kind of magical song to attract him. And he's attracted by the witchcraft of her moods, the magic, the enchantment of all her many moods, now this and now that. Even if she just gives him a little casual touch, that moves him. He feels very deeply that touch. Either he's touched by joy or by grief. He gets lost in her, but he doesn't win her. He can't make her his. A fugitive paradise smiles at him from her eyes. It's as if she's promising him something. But that paradise which she's promising him is something that runs away, that can't be caught. He dreams of her beauty made forever his. He dreams of winning her. He dreams of mastering her. And he dreams of the magic of her breasts of bliss. How wonderful that will be to embrace her.
Higher life?
Sorry?
She is higher life?
This is, we can say, the goddess of life.
Goddess of life.
I don't want to say which particular level it is.
Because it says the goddess of greater life.
It's the greater life, yes.
So goddess of greater life.
But it's not all greater what we're reading about.
Yeah.
Dana.
In her illumined script, her fanciful translation of God's pure original text, he thinks to read the scripture wonderful, hieratic key to unknown deities. But the word of life is hidden in its script. The chant of life has lost its divine note.
So she's written this gorgeous book, magical book, her illumined script. It's decorated with so many beautiful pictures and colors. But it's just a fanciful translation of God's pure original text. We have to be very careful about fanciful translations. Mother has written to, I think it was Shamsunda, beware of translations, because they're rarely accurate. So what this playful goddess is doing, these are fanciful translations, but they're very convincing to her devotees. He thinks that he's reading the scripture wonderful, the true scripture, no? The one that will unlock unknown beatitudes, all forms of bliss, unimaginable forms of bliss. A hieratic key is the key that the priest uses to open the sacred door. But the word of life is hidden in its script, in that fanciful, illumined script. No? And the chant of life, it may sound very attractive to our ears, but it has lost its divine note. So the spirit gets lost also. Will you read, Prasad?
Unseen, a captive in a house of sound, the spirit lost in the splendor of a dream. Listen to 1,000-voiced illusions pour. A delicate web of sorcery steals the heart, or a fiery magic tints her tone and hues. Yet they but wait a thrill of transient grace. A vagrant march, struck by the wanderer time, they call to bring unsatisfied delight, or wallow in ravishments of mind and sense, but miss the luminous answer of the soul.
So that's why we have to be so careful about the calls, the lures, the attractions, even of the greater life.
So, but we need to experience the greater life.
It's better to be attracted by the greater life than by the nether life.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But still, here we are being warned that even the greater life, with all its inspiring, all the things that it offers us, we shouldn't think that's going to give us the answer, because it can't. It becomes very tragic towards the end of the canto. But no, one has to escape from this, and there's no escape.
But one has to go through the escape. Shraddhavan, or one can totally ignore it.
Perhaps one can bypass all this altogether. Yeah. But Sri Aurobindo's not bypassing it. He's telling us about all the planes of existence and how things are happening on each of them. But I think this gives quite a warning. No? Here we can be very, very attracted by. There are geniuses, no, who write plays and books and films and design unbelievable clothes or buildings. It's all achievements in a way of the greater life. But we shouldn't think that that's what we want. We can admire and even enjoy, but we should remember that there's something beyond all this.
But in the end, we always get a marvelous result, no?
In the end, we what?
We will get a marvelous result what 𝒖𝒑 was achieved.
But perhaps not by following the life urges, no? It's if we go deeper, if we can find the soul and follow those things and the movements of the greater knowledge, that will take us much further. This can be very, very alluring, and perhaps we can spend lives and lives enjoying the greater life. No? And then in the end, like the goddess herself, the soul within is weeping because it's all wasted somehow. It says the spirit is lost in the splendor of a dream. And he's listening to this incredible music, listens to 1,000-voiced illusions old. It's not telling something true. There's a delicate weft of sorcery, some magic steals away the heart, or a fiery magic tints, colors life's tones and hues so they become so exciting and appealing. But they only wake up a thrill, a short-lived thrill of transient grace. It comes and it goes and then it's gone. These kind of attractions, he says, are like a vagrant march struck by the wanderer time. For me, it's a kind of image of something happening in the Middle Ages when musicians would pass through the streets of town and all the children or the young people, they would follow them. And the music sounds so exciting and you follow. But where is it going? It's a vagrant march. It's just wandering here and there. The wanderer time. They only call us to a brief, unsatisfied delight. Or they might lead us into a swamp. They may lead us to wallow in ravishments of mind and sense, like pigs or hippopotamuses wallowing in pools of mud. It feels so lovely, but still, it's just mud. So they lead us, these attractions of life, they lead us to that, but they miss the luminous answer of the soul.
This may be all the vital level.
Yeah, this is all the vital level, yes. And so, okay, higher vital, but still, there are.
The divine heart throb, the delicious joy produces, a yearning towards peace forever and an ecstasy of unfulfilled desires. Throughout the last ever-glowing brightness of your voice. Transmuted our past sufferings, memories. We will know the sadness' sweet escaping trace. Thrown our tears to trace the diamond away. Your sorrow into a rich crown of song. brief are first snatches of felicity that touch the surface, then escape or die. And lost remembrance echoes in her depths, a deathless mourning whispers, a very self-talk, a prisoner in a moment's visible, a spirit wounded by love, souls in her breasts, a cherished suffering is her deepest cry.
So there's something so poignant about this. No? What is the heart of this attraction of life? A blind heart throb that's trying to reach joy. It does reach a kind of joy, but it has to pass through tears. No? A yearning, an unsatisfied yearning, a yearning towards peaks forever unreached. An ecstasy, a kind of intense delight, but it's of unfulfilled desire. These are the things that if we follow her on her way, these track the last heavenward climbings of her voice. If we follow her song. So there's something very poignant. She can remember past sufferings, get transmuted into memories. There's something, it's memories of sadness and disappointment, but there's something attractive about them. An old sadness's sweet escaping trail. Turned are her tears to gems of diamond pain. There's something in us which cherishes all those lost opportunities or insufficiently enjoyed or something like that. So she turns her sorrow into a magic crown of song. And there is something alluring about it, touching, attractive. Her touches of felicity are very brief, just now and then. And they just touch the surface, and then they escape, or they die, they're gone. For that life goddess, a lost remembrance echoes in her depths of that world of perfect bliss which is her true home. But she can remember it, but it's lost. A deathless longing is hers. A veiled self's call, a call of what she has been. No? A prisoner in the mortal's limiting world. She doesn't really belong in this world of death. We read that at the beginning with Canto 3. No? A spirit wounded by life is sobbing in her breast, and a cherished suffering is her deepest cry. Maybe that's the psychic sorrow.
Shraddhavan, Mother somewhere said we are in love with the dramas.
That's it.
This is the drama.
Yes, exactly.
Then we feel alive. Without drama,
We would feel a bit lost, huh? Boring, dull. No, not really. Who's next? Yes.
a wonder on fallen descending roads. Along the roads of sound a frustrated voice. For second years,
cries.
grace to a forgotten place. Astray in the ego currents of desire. It guards the quantums of a soul's dead hopes, and it keeps alive the voice of rich things, or
Lingers.
upon sweet and weary notes, hunting for pleasure in the heart of pain.
Yes. So when we are following her cry, no, it's as if we can't see her, we can't catch her, but we can hear her voice and its attractiveness. So along the roads of sound, a frustrate voice, a voice that remains forever unfulfilled, forsaken, abandoned, cries to a forgotten bliss. Astray, lost, wandering in the echo caverns of desire. Sometimes it can happen, you enter into a cave system underground and there are echoes and you get lost and you hear voices, you don't know where you are and where they're coming from. The echo caverns of desire, they're attracting you, no? That frustrate voice is guarding the phantoms, the ghosts of a soul's dead hopes, and keeps alive the voice of perished things, things that have died, that are over, or lingers upon sweet and errant notes. Lingers, takes time, stays with these sweet musical notes, wandering here and there, hunting for pleasure in the heart of pain. Philomena.
A faithful hand has touched the cosmic chords, and the intrusion of a troubled strain covers the inner music's hidden key that guides and for the surface cadences. It is joy to live and to create, and joy to love and level though one fails, and joy to see though all we find disease, and all move on which we lean betrays our trust. If something in its death was worth the pain, a passionate memory hangs with ecstatic fire.
Yes, so poignant, no? A fateful hand has touched the cosmic chords, as if the universe has a poet who is making music, playing the chords on his lyre. A fateful hand has touched the cosmic chords. And the intrusion of a troubled strain that shouldn't be there. If there were pure bliss, that troubled strain wouldn't be there. But that troubled strain, that fateful hand has touched the cosmic chords, played a different kind of music. And so this troubled strain covers up the inner music's hidden key. There's an inner music which should guide the surface cadences. It should lead the music, but it doesn't. It gets covered up. The inner music is covered. It's still guiding, unheard, the surface cadences, the surface melodies. But then the poet said, but even so, yet is it joy to live and to create, and joy to love and labor, even though everything fails. It's joy to seek, though all we find deceives, lets us down, and all on which we lean betrays our trust. Yet something in its depths was worth the pain. A passionate memory haunts with ecstasy's fire. This is somehow the pathos of life. We know it. This is the pathos of life, no? We know that it's maybe misleading us or deceiving us, or that all this, whatever we have enjoyed, will fail, and it will not be like that. But still, yes.
So still I think it helps us to grow.
Yeah, that's what he's saying here. Yes, it is joy to live and to create, and joy to love and labor, even though everything fails. Yes, let's read on. Yes. Line 775. Sarojini, will you read? Desperate.
Our death is made a passage through one. This life's music gives its untold swell. And to all citizens the glory of her voice. Heavens and raptures whisper through her heart and past. Words transient, burning cry from her lips and faith.
Yes. So the poet agrees with Prasad. It's all worth it in a way. For even grief has joy hidden beneath its roots. For nothing is truly vain the one has made. In our defeated hearts, God's strength survives, and victory's star still lights our desperate road when we really don't know how and where to go. That star of victory is still shining above. And even our death is made a passage to new worlds, new possibilities, new experiences. So it is this fact, the presence of victory's star, the fact that nothing is truly vain that God has made, this to life's music gives its anthem swell, its powerful music. To all she, life, lends the glory of her voice. Heaven's raptures whisper to her heart and pass. Earth's transient yearnings cry from her lips and fade. But something still is missing. Will you read? Supernal.
supernal peace.
Sumptuous.
Interval occupies the ear, and the heart listen, and the soul consent. On
Evanescent.
music it repeats, resting on transience, times, eternity.
Let's look at this. He's saying life sings these marvelous songs and attracts us and leads us. But one thing escapes her art. The God-given hymn, the music that came with her from her spiritual home. We read this tragic story of how the goddess of life poured all her beauty and her bliss out on the world, but something stopped it on the way. So that God-given hymn that came with her from her spiritual home of pure bliss, but stopped halfway and failed. A silent word that must still be awake somewhere in some deep pause of waiting worlds, a murmur suspended in eternity's hush. That music must still be there somewhere, that God-given hymn, no? But no breath comes down from the supernal peace, the supreme peace. Instead, there's a sumptuous interlude, something that gets played in between. It's glorious, wonderful, rich music. A sumptuous interlude occupies our ear, the ear of the spirit, and the heart listens, and the soul consents and says, yes, yes. But it's just repeating a music which is fading away, an evanescent music, fading away. That's wasting the eternity of time on transience, on something that cannot last. It's so pathetic. Will you read?
Of the voice of the horse, who sees things in the high eternity, the self-embodying spirit came to play on the vast
Clavichord.
of nature's force, running a mighty murmur here and there of the eternal word, the blissful voice, of beauty's flash, of in heart and sense, a wandering splendor and a distinct crash, because the strength and sweetness heard no more.
A tremolo of the voices of the world, the hours. It's when Arabic women do it. They do something in the back of their throats. The voice is very high and resonating.
Celebration, they make this.
Yes,
The Tamil people also make
they do it, yeah. So that's a tremolo. So it's the voices of the hours. They're singing like that. And that screens. It means that we can't hear the high intended theme which the self-embodying spirit came to play. The spirit of delight, of bliss, came to play wonderful music on the keyboard of nature with all its many, many possible notes and sounds, no? But that tremolo of the voices of the hours screens that out. It forgets the real music the high intended theme, the self-embodying spirit, came to play on the vast clavichord of nature's force. A clavichord is a keyboard, but this is a vast keyboard. Only a mighty murmur here and there of the eternal word, the blissful voice. Just a murmur here and there. Or beauty's touch, transfiguring heart and sense. A wandering splendor and a mystic cry, just now and again, touches us and recalls the strength and sweetness heard no more. That high intended theme is always escaping us. And then the poet says, here is the gap. Here stops or sinks life's force. This deficit paupers the magician's skill. This want makes all the rest seems thin and bare. That is the theme of the next section.
It means paupers.
Sorry?
Paupers.
To pauper, to take away all somebody's wealth. A pauper is somebody who has nothing. So, she's such a skillful magician, but the fact that it's not the real thing, that takes away the real worth of it, makes all the rest seem thin and bare. It's very, very pathetic, all this. We'll go on reading it next time. And perhaps some of you are interested to read in Sri Aurobindo's book, The Human Cycle, the supra-rational ultimate of life. It's something unique in Sri Aurobindo's writings. Yes, the supra-rational, above the reason, the supra-rational ultimate of life. He's spoken about the supra-rational ultimate of beauty and of religion and of other things, but of life. So it's a very special chapter, because he points it out. He says, if we think we have to turn to a spiritual life or to spirituality, then the life that we have to live just seems full of pitfalls and dangers for us, and that it would be better if we could avoid all these things. But Sri Aurobindo says, no, we have to take life the way that it is. In her mazes of approach and of retreat, to every side she draws him and repels, but drawn too near, escapes from his embrace. All ways she leads him, but no way is sure. Allured by the many-toned marvel of her chant, attracted by the witchcraft of her moods, and moved by her casual touch to joy and grief, he loses himself in her, but wins her not. A fugitive paradise smiles at him from her eyes. He dreams of her beauty made forever his. He dreams of his mastery her limbs shall bear. He dreams of the magic of her breasts of bliss. In her illumined script, her fanciful translation of God's pure original text, he thinks to read the scripture wonderful, hieratic key to unknown beatitudes. But the word of life is hidden in its script. The chant of life has lost its divine note. Unseen, a captive in a house of sound, the spirit, lost in the splendor of a dream, listens to 1,000-voiced illusions ode. A delicate weft of sorcery steals the heart, or a fiery magic tints her tones and hues. Yet they but wake a thrill of transient grace, a vagrant march struck by the wanderer time. They call to a brief, unsatisfied delight, or wallow in ravishments of mind and sense, but miss the luminous answer of the soul. A blind heart throb that reaches joy through tears, a yearning towards peaks forever unreached, an ecstasy of unfulfilled desire, track the last heavenward climbings of her voice. Transmuted are past sufferings' memories into an old sadness's sweet escaping trail. Turned are her tears to gems of diamond pain, her sorrow into a magic crown of song. Brief are her snatches of felicity that touch the surface, then escape or die. A lost remembrance echoes in her depths. A deathless longing is hers, a veiled self's call. A prisoner in the mortal's limiting world, a spirit wounded by life sobs in her breast. A cherished suffering is her deepest cry. A wanderer on forlorn, despairing routes, along the roads of sound, a frustrate voice, forsaken, cries to a forgotten bliss. Astray in the echo caverns of desire, it guards the phantoms of a soul's dead hopes, and keeps alive the voice of perished things, or lingers upon sweet and errant notes, hunting for pleasure in the heart of pain. A fateful hand has touched the cosmic chords, and the intrusion of a troubled strain covers the inner music's hidden key that guides unheard the surface cadences. Yet is it joy to live and to create, and joy to love and labor though all fails, and joy to seek though all we find deceives, and all on which we lean betrays our trust. Yet something in its depths was worth the pain. A passionate memory haunts with ecstasy's fire. Even grief has joy hidden beneath its roots, for nothing is truly vain the One has made. In our defeated hearts God's strength survives, and victory's star still lights our desperate road. Our death is made a passage to new worlds. This to life's music gives its anthem swell. To all she lends the glory of her voice. Heaven's raptures whisper to her heart and pass. Earth's transient yearnings cry from her lips and fade. Alone the God-given hymn escapes her art that came with her from her spiritual home, but stopped halfway and failed. A silent word awake in some deep pause of waiting worlds, a murmur suspended in eternity's hush. But no breath comes from the supernal peace. A sumptuous interlude occupies the ear, and the heart listens, and the soul consents. An evanescent music it repeats, wasting on transience time's eternity. A tremolo of the voices of the hours, oblivious, screens the high intended theme the self-embodying spirit came to play on the vast clavichord of nature force. Only a mighty murmur here and there of the eternal word, the blissful voice. or beauty's touch transfiguring heart and sense, a wandering splendor and a mystic cry recalls the strength and sweetness heard no more.